But, you know, like my boy Volk said, man, I'm sorry, I can't get knocked out by somebody that be like, and tonight will be the night that I will fall for you. Over again, don't make me change my mind. What up, y'all? It's your boy Joaquin Newman Buckley. Welcome back to another episode of the Brick Brother Podcast. Y'all know we locked in. We gonna keep giving it to y'all, bro, just what y'all keep asking for. We got some good content for y'all. But before we get shouted, man, we just want to give a big shout out to one of the bricks, man. Happy birthday to Jack.
Jack, yes,
man,
sir.
Big Jack, bro. He came out to Salt Lake City when we fought Wonder Boy, and what they drove, like what?
He said 4 hours.
Good 4 hours, man, just to see your boy Buck, you know? So, man, we definitely got to give a big shout out to him, man. Happy birthday. We heard that you also want to get into the UFC. Man, you definitely can do it. What, he's about to be 22, 23 years old?
22 years old.
Man, so, you know, perfect ripe age, man, to, you know, make it happen. So, keep hustling, man. Keep grinding, man. But shout out to you, man. Appreciate all the support that you give us, bro. And, man, yet again, happy birthday, Jack.
Thanks for being a brick, bro.
All right, let's get it, baby.
All right, man. So you saw it was a very big pay-per-view over the weekend, UFC 314. I know you don't watch a lot of fights, but you tapped into those, I'm sure. Let's start from the top of the card. We had Alexander Volkanovski, which defeated Diego Lopes by unanimous decision, reclaims his vacant featherweight title. I guess, what were your overall thoughts of the fight? What did you think?
I mean, be honest with you, I was excited for this fight, right? Because with Diego being on the momentum that he was on, and, you know, hot streak, you know, down there finishing everybody, you know, on his way up to the top. And then, you know, Volk coming off of, you know, 2 back-to-back KO losses, right? You know, this was, a little shaky ground, you know? But, you know, I was very intrigued on just how Alex would, you know, pretty much handle the whole situation with somebody like a person like Diego, who just knows that forward pressure. But, you know, like my boy Volk said, man, I'm sorry, I can't get knocked out by somebody that be like, and tonight will be the night that I will fall for you. Over again, don't make me change my mind. Yeah. I feel Volk on that, bro. You can't get knocked out by nobody like that. Emo kid, you can't happen. But
a musical man, so I like it. There we go.
No. Yeah. I'm working on my little album too. You know what I'm saying?
There we go.
Shout out to Volk. You know what I mean? He showed me, bro. We got many different talents out here that we can always aspire to. You know what I mean? But regardless, though, I think Volk did a great job. Just staying on his pedal. Just kept moving. Man, went to one direction towards the right, you know what I mean? He felt like Diego might trap on her. He went to the left, right? Even when, you know, swaying to the power side, Diego had a hard time kind of setting up, you know, his shots, his overhands, you know, his straights, his kicks, whatever, because Volk just wouldn't stay still. That boy just kept moving. But what I liked about what Volk was doing, not only was he moving, but he was landing at the same time. A lot of guys don't know how to move and throw shots, right, at the same time. Diego is the type of fighter, he want to plant his feet, and once he plant his feet, he throwing, right? And you seen that, you know, Diego hit him with a couple good shots, good little uppercuts, good little hooks, but Volk got himself out of position where he can get, you know what I'm saying, don't get hurt with the biggest shot, which is good. And I feel like Volk having that momentum to constantly keep moving for 5 rounds, right? It put him in a position where, you know, you can see that, you know, he used his experience overall against Diego, you know, because Diego didn't have no answers for it. And then as the time went on, instead of trying to push Volk up against the cage or grapple with him or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You can see him pointing down towards the middle of the, you know, the center of the cage, like, man, come on, come and get this work, come and get this. Volk was like, yeah, that's cool. I'm going to keep on moving, right? So I really think Volk did his thing, man. Congratulations to him. But he just showed his experience overall, you know what I mean? And just like, bro, it's levels to this game, you know? And you can't fight everybody the same way. You got to change it up to a certain degree. And like with Diego, I feel like, you know, the way he had fought a lot of guys, he tried to do just that, make those adjustments, right? But at the end of the day, those adjustments that he made, it didn't play out in his, you know, in his favor.
No, I agree. I think that Alexander Volkanovski showed the world last night what made him to be one of the people we mentioned as a featherweight GOAT. I remember me and you speaking off camera at one point in time, and I was like, when he fought Max, we were in International Fight Weekend a couple years ago. I was like, man, I just don't understand. Not that Volkanovski isn't a good striker, not that he isn't a good wrestler, not like he's not conditioned, he's a good athlete, but what makes him so special? Yeah. Max Holloway was a lot of people's featherweight GOAT before Alexander Volkanovski. And I was like, what is he doing that is just so confusing? And last night I got a good instructional. He got to show everything. His lateral movement, his leg kicks, his pressure, his willingness to go to wrestling if it needed to, his ability to be cocky in the sense that, oh, okay, you want to use your power as a weapon? Well, I'm going to counter with power. I'm more technical. I'm a faster striker than you. I'm better than you. I think he wanted to show him that, not even just in an egotistical sense, but sometimes it's a bluff for fighters to show them that I'm not afraid of what you do best. Right. So it kind of made Diego a little passive and timid. And you heard the commentary team, and probably his coach, I don't know what his coaches said, but probably telling him, bro, you got to make it a firefight. But I think Volkanovski scared the firefight out of Diego Lopes until he got that big shot in I think it was the third round, maybe the second round. Right. But Volkanovski showed people his fight IQ is as high as it comes, that he's very willing to do whatever it takes to win, and he's patient. So many times where Diego Lopes would have a moment of fight, and Volkanovski oftentimes would just, okay, you land a really big shot, I'm going to land 6, 7, 8 punches and remind people that I'm winning the fight. So every single time Diego had a big moment, Volkanovski found a way to steal the moment back from him. So I got a crash course what made him so special. And for him to do it and break that curse at the age of 36, I believe, he said adversity, it's a privilege, excuse me. And he showed that it's a real mentality that he has. Coming from that Brian Ortega guillotine, anytime the pressure gets on Volkanovski, he shows his best form. He shows why he's one of the greatest featherweights of all time. It was a little controversy. Not for me. I thought Volkanovski won. Did you have it the same way? Some people apparently thought that Diego Lopes had might have been close. It might have been 2-2 going into the fifth.
No, I had Volk on majority of all the rounds. You know what I mean? You probably give Diego one, probably like in the third or the fourth. But at the end of the day, like I said, he couldn't stop the movement. He couldn't stop the combination patterns, or just literally like Volk every time took advantage of whatever Diego gave him. And what you said right there, which, I didn't even think about, is the power shots, too, that Alex was able to land as well, And I ain't trying to put Buddy out there, but, we all know he got that tick, right? So Did
you hear why? Did you hear what they said?
I heard somebody on X told me. I don't know whether it's true or not, but it's a messed up story. You know what I'm saying?
So I don't know the story, but John Ennick said he had an accident when he was a child. And from that accident, he gets itchy, and that's what he's doing. He's like scratching it.
Right. 100%.
But I don't know the back. I don't know the backstory, so if I'm making fun of it, I'm not trying to.
But regardless of what that is, if a person like that is trying to knock me out and they have, I'm going to use that against you, bro. And crazy enough, as I'm watching, and I don't know, and he probably did too, and I'm talking about Alex, right? A lot of people would say, it's not as easy to try to time when he scratches his, his neck. But he does it at a certain time, at a certain point. And I feel like another person, if Diego fight him, they coach, whatever, if they watching, they're going to be able to tell, because you can actually make him do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And funny enough, Alex was doing some certain things within that fight. Y'all can go back and watch it, whatever. But Alex was doing certain things in that fight that will force him to do this every single time, right? And look, I ain't gonna, cause you know what I mean? Like,
I get it.
That's gonna help a lot of brothers out. They be like, damn, Buck, right? So I'm gonna let you do your own homework on that.
Right.
But regardless though, what you said before, him being able to use that and land his own power shot, right? Because if you too busy scratching your neck, you're not able to cover, And Alex landed some good little overhands over the top, to touch Diego's chin. I never even thought about that. That did kind of pause Diego, right? Because yet again, Diego is somebody that goes straight forward, blitz his guy, run him down. And, you had certain situations where he didn't do that against Volk. And it might have led to a little bit more success. Now, yeah, you looking at, maybe getting taken down, maybe running into something, but with Diego, with that type of power that he has, that's sometimes your best chance and opportunity, especially if you cannot figure out the actual equation on how to beat this problem that's in front of you. So sometimes you literally have to crash out.
Right, and I agree. I think sometimes, I think we, as a coach, like, you feel in your fighter's head that, oh, you're the best in the world, you're better than everybody. But I think that sometimes it doesn't matter if you're better than somebody. You just have to be better that particular night.
100%.
So find a way. And when you're not better than someone from a technical aspect, you got to crash out. Are you happy with going to a decision, or do you want to increase your probability? DC said it perfect. So what if you get tired? The technical exchange wasn't going in Diego Lopez's favor. And I felt like the more pressure you put on Volk, that was when he had the most success. But he was ultimately paused. But shout out to Diego Lopez and Volkanovski for both having a great performance. It was a great fight. Very entertaining. I was very impressed. We saw vintage Volk. That's what I was hoping. I think you took Lopez. I took Volk for that one. Moving forward, what do you have for both for next gentlemen? Do you think that like what do you see moving forward?
I got you. If I was the matchmaker, let's just start off with Diego. So, big opportunity, fighting for a title, is definitely gonna put you still as a number one contender. Whoever is coming up next, which I don't know like the actual rankings now or the numbers, but who just won on that other card still, like Yair, right? Yair won.
It's a few names out there for sure.
But
you got Pimp. Yeah, you
got Paddy.
Well, Paddy 55.
Hold on. Am I tripping? Yeah, 45.
I messed up. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. But Yair Rodriguez, I think, could be a perfect fight. I don't think they seen each other yet. They already had a little beef.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? They was talking all that stuff backstage, so it's a perfect setup, right? Because even though Yair did take on the challenge and bringing in somebody from a different promotion, different organization, and everything of that nature, it's still another person from another organization, not ranked, you know what I mean? Like, you just took on that risk. But I think now with fighting somebody, right, moving up, it gives you an opportunity for that number one spot. And then also, same thing with my boy Diego Lopez, gives you another reason
100%.
to show people how great you are, right? So I think Yair and Diego is a perfect matchup, you know what I mean? And especially already having that drama. And then for Alexander Volkanovski, we already know Mozart, you know what I mean? There ain't no other choice. But my thing is, now what does Alex do after that? Like, he 36 years old, you know what I'm saying? So should this be one and done? Or like my man just gonna ride this out? That's my biggest thing. Mozart the only person that makes sense.
I agree. If I'm Volkanovski, I'm riding off into the sunset. I'll let y'all handle it how you handle it. I already got title defenses. You can argue me, Jose, or Max Holloway.
That's 100%. It really could. Yeah.
That's what I would do. But I like Jean Silva for Diego Lopez. I think that'd be cool for sure. He kind of had a fast run to the ranks, and I think so did Jean Silva. So I think it kind of makes sense. Quick question, and we'll move on. We won't hang on this. We could discuss this another time. But do you think this cements Volkanovski as the featherweight GOAT?
I mean, it's a good argument for it, bro. It really is a good argument for it. I mean, Max Holloway did it too, though, right? Came back and lost the belt, but then got it back. Max. Or is Alex the first one?
I think
Volk the first one?
I think Volk's the first, especially at this age, because Volk is the one to beat Max. Max never beat Volk again. He lost 3 times.
He lost 3 times.
But to me, it's 2 guys. It's only 2 people.
Jose Aldo and Volk, huh?
Yeah, I say it's Jose. And I know Jose lost to Holloway twice, but are we talking about who is the best?
And he lost to Volk, though.
Are we talking about who was the best at their prime? He didn't fight Volk, did he?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I think it's who's the best.
I'm sorry.
That's still hella funny. But my thing is still the best at their time. You didn't beat Jose Aldo when he was beating the shit out of everybody. You beat him at the end when he was already kind of falling down. Conor was the person to find that chip in the hole, and everybody started, kind of beating him after that. There's a bunch of guys beating him. When Jose was on a 10-year unbeaten streak, nobody was beating him. And I think
Jose still holds the most title defenses, right?
He does.
So I think that definitely plays a big part, major part.
10-year undefeated streak, man, and it wasn't close.
I think Volk is right behind him.
He is
with defenses.
Seven total wins too. Now, not defense, but 7 total wins.
Oh, okay.
Aldo has 8.
Okay. Nah, man, that's a hard one, But I wouldn't be mad at neither one. You know,
both are all-time greats. We could do a whole segment on that. Going forward in the co-main event, man, Paddy Pimblett finished Michael Chandler in the third round.
You don't call him Batty?
Batty? Is that
you don't call him Batty?
Nah.
Paddy the Batty.
Yeah, respectfully declined. But Paddy Pimblett was late third round, finished Michael Chandler by TKO. There's a lot to discuss in this one. What are your overall thoughts on the fight? What surprised you, if anything? Let's just go ahead and talk about it.
I mean, for real, what surprised me the most was how bad Michael Chandler looked, bro. Right? Like, and be honest with you, I didn't even know it was a 5-rounder. Like, who made it a 5-rounder first? That's the first thing that, like, kind of caught my eye, because I'm like, who are they doing that for, you know? Because anybody that I felt like it would have went against was Michael Chandler. Like, my dude, all he do is tire out, you know what I'm saying, within the first round.
Well, it didn't matter. He lost in the third.
Yeah. That's what I just about
no
to say.
Disrespect.
So I'm like, first off, who made this 5 rounds in the first place? Because, you know, Paddy already didn't have a name like that where it's like, oh, I want to fight 5 rounds. So I don't believe it was on his side. So, yeah, Chandler a little slow. But regardless, though, yeah, I didn't expect Paddy to kind of just run through Michael Chandler the way he did, especially with the stylistic matchup, because if anything Michael Chandler could have done, and like I say, Paddy, he said or claims he never been knocked out before. Scousers don't get knocked out. Bro, Michael Chandler got a crazy overhand right, you know? And I don't even think he attempted it one time to throw it over the top or just be like whatever, because he giving it to you every single time. But Paddy did his thing last night, you know, controlled him in every position, outstriked him, you know what I mean? Took him down, was able to control him the whole time, put him in bad position, had my man Michael Chandler praying to God like this fight to be over. Like, boy, that shit was crazy, bro.
Man.
Yeah, that was bad.
So me and you, we were in a group chat with the team, and we were texting, and we were doing push-ups.
Yeah, little 35.
And, you know, I had Chandler picked by knockout, and then you had Paddy by sub. Chandler got his ass whooped so bad, I still did the 35 push-ups. I dead ass. Anderson, what are you doing? I'm doing push-ups. I'm being super serious. I'm like, damn, I ain't never been this wrong in my life. Like, that was bad. Like, Chandler, another coach, you know, he spoke about on his podcast, Ramsey from the Pit in Utah. He said, like, he didn't think Chandler was that good. And I was watching, I'm like, damn, maybe he was right. We'll get into that in a second, but just the tactics. Chandler wasn't using his hand speed, not using combinations, not lateral movement. You look at somebody on like Dan Ige in the prelims who fought Sean Woodson, who had a much larger size discrepancy, 100%. And he was either all the way in or all the way out, something kind of a cliche in MMA, as you know, when there's a big size disparity. Chandler just allowed Paddy to dictate range, dictate pace. Chandler didn't use any of his advantages. Right. He did wrestle well. That's the one thing I'll say. Obviously, Michael Chandler is an All-American wrestler, very talented, wrestled for Mizzou here. And you know,
I mean, I was kind of proud of him in that first early round. He shot, you know, I'm like, okay.
He looked being smart, using the clinch, but he landed no damage. And I think Paddy, once he realized that Mike wasn't going to hurt him, it was just open season. It was like he was hunting, and I was really surprised that Michael Chandler just didn't have any answers. Henry Hoof spoke a little bit about, you know, use your combinations, he's given whatever. But I don't like to bash coaches on here, but I'm chewing you out. I'm sorry. Like, boy, what the fuck are we doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, he was calm about it. Like, no, like, bro, it's time to go. Pick it up. Like, 100%. Chandler, in my opinion, did everything wrong you could do in that fight. There's no shame in losing. We're not going to lose playing another person's game. Yeah. I don't like losing that way. Yeah. So, with that being said, I do have the question. Was Chandler really as good as we thought he was? Let me give you a stat. Michael Chandler's fought in the UFC 7 times. He is 2-5. Of his 5 losses, he's been finished 4 out of 5 times.
Niggas would have been cut already, bro.
Boy.
It's crazy.
I really am questioning, was he ever as good as we thought he was? Now, trust me, the Bellator days, I've seen Michael Chandler do some amazing things. Beat Dan Hooker in his UFC debut, looked very impressive. Beat an old, washed kind of Tony Ferguson, no disrespect, Tony Ferguson at his peak, amazing. At the tail end, just not so great, right? I don't know if he really was ever at the level we thought he was. There was a while we thought he would come over, challenge Habib, it'd be this great fight, and he's shown none of that. I really honestly don't know. It's not even any disrespect. Like, I really don't know if he ever was the person I thought he was. I'm more confused than anything. Because it's not like his speed looked like it was gone. It's not like his power looked like it was gone. He just didn't do anything right. He didn't.
That's a good way to put it, because it's like in certain fights that you see him in, whether it was against Dustin Poirier, whether it's against Charles Oliveira, whether that's against, who was another name that he lost to besides Paddy, last night.
Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, yeah.
Right? There's a lot of situations that, and that we can joke about now, but he will always say, I'm always fighting for the fans, for the entertainment. So he would take himself in a position of winning to lose to be quote unquote entertaining. But now I see that that's just an excuse. I don't think Chandler know how to put it together.
Who was he fighting for last night? You was fighting for the other team. Like I'm confused. Like I'm extremely.
Wait, my sir, you said
I was so confused because it was entertaining him lose, getting his ass whooped.
Period, bro. That was bad.
How can you starch Dan Hooker? I know MMA math don't work.
Yeah.
And Jared Gordon bring Petty to damn near hell. Give him the toughest fight he ever seen. You fight Dustin Poirier, you fight Charles Oliveira Tice, you fight Justin Gaethje, and you can't defend a strike.
Yeah, that's wild.
You can't move laterally. You go straight backwards when somebody's pressuring you. Even though you have a great blast double leg, even though you have a great overhand, you're not closing the distance. You're not fighting behind your jab. You're not using anything. You're trying to trade kicks with a longer fighter. Like, it's either, and this is something I'm going to say, it's either he's really bad, his coaches quit on him, or his coaches didn't do anything. It's one of the three. Because that makes no sense.
What if it's all three, my nigga?
It could be all three. And I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but that's horrible. That is a terrible performance.
Nah, that was.
From a person who I respect a lot. I know his wrestling's a very high level.
And look, and then a lot of people are like, well, how you just going to bash Chandler? Maybe Paddy just that good. You ever thought about that?
That was a question I was going to... Is Paddy as good? Is he a lot better than we thought? Maybe. But my thing is, he might have improved over time. I have to give people credit for what they do. I do. But do I think Paddy's a world-class striker? Because he beat him up with...
Oh, he beat him up with everything.
Anything he wanted.
Everything.
So I know Paddy is really good because his jiu-jitsu is really good. He's a good top-pressure guy. I think his ground and pound, obviously... it seems to be really good. But do you think his wrestling's top level? I don't know, man.
So for me,
I got more questions.
I love what Paddy was able to do to Michael Chandler. But if I can be honest, and I'm being a fighter myself, and I'm looking at the fight, just because he was able to pretty much put an assault on fucking Michael Chandler, I still saw some things from Paddy that, I feel like he should clean up first, before he get just bounced. Because you can see Islam. Islam like, bro, I want that smoke with Paddy. Bring him up. I need a new name. I can see why Islam is saying that, because he already know that's a good little lick right there, right? And with Paddy, right, he already stroked to kind of get that next. I mean, shit. Like he said before, he was already, a lot of people saying he'd never make it here to the top 10, made it to the top 10, never be getting to the top 5, now he there. And quote unquote never be champion, right? So those are always good motivating factors to have when people doubt you. But what I seen last night, as incredible Paddy looked, there's still a lot of things, man, that I feel like, bro, a lot of people can expose, bro. And when you get into that top 5 for real, it's a whole different story, man. You know what I mean? So, as much as Michael Chandler, like I said, didn't look great last night, and Paddy looked amazing, I really feel like, once Paddy get into those, deep waters where you talk about Islam, Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Armin, right?
I think, yeah.
I'm some deep waters, man. But, hey, now he there, so sink or swim, baby.
Now I know why Michael Chandler was very hesitant to fight some of the names he was going to fight, because I think it would have been way worse. I think Arman Sarukian, or Islam.
I mean, shit, no bullshit. Now that you bring it up, what's funny, though?
Money Morcano.
Now that you bring it up, though, you know who he was also ducking?
Who?
Talking about Michael Chandler?
Who?
Pitbull.
Oh.
He didn't want no...
Come on, you already know why.
He's like, bro, I don't want no rematches, dog. I'm like, what you mean?
And, I know I spoke at lengths at Chandler's deficiency, but I do have to give Paddy credit for improving, because the guy I saw fight Jared Gordon and some of his early UFC fights getting rocked, obviously you beat somebody who's ranked extremely high, who probably didn't deserve that rank. And honestly, my man only won 2 fights out of 7. That's crazy that he was even ranked still, probably more from namesake. But you have to give Paddy the credit because without the stuff that he did, we wouldn't be talking about Chandler like this.
Out of everybody, and plus, don't get it twisted, Michael Chandler been done dirty, bro. Paddy did him the worst.
The worst. Him and Oliveira.
Worst.
Him and Oliveira. So what do you want to see from Paddy going forward? Do you want to see him fight Dubronx? You want to see him fight Justin Gagey? You want to see him fight...
Because I already know he's going to get spunked around and get that nigga the title shot. Give him a title shot. No, for real. Like, you know, we Islam said it best. I need a new name, you know, because it gets difficult.
I agree.
Right?
I think this is the time to make that fight.
It's that time to make the fight right now. He's already on a streak right now. He got the momentum behind him. Undefeated, right?
In the UFC, you know, undefeated.
But still,
in the UFC.
You know, you see Kobe trying to get after him and stuff like that. Right now, the boy is hot. It's time to use that sting. You know,
I agree.
And regardless of whatever, if he really say he like that, that's the fight that we gonna see.
I say one of two fights. He fights Topuria, which Topuria probably spin him.
Yeah.
But that's a hell of a fight.
That's actually a good one. Yeah.
Or, because if he beats Topuria, he definitely ready for Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Or he fights Islam. I think that's the best fight you can make.
You done changed my motherfucking mind. I think, be honest with that, because, you know, me, I don't want Topuria coming from 145 and because he had a title, switch over to 155 and get an automatic because I'm tired of that whole thing.
Yeah.
Fight somebody at 155. And then now y'all already got a backstory between Ilya Topuria and him. And it's perfect because the rankings is right there. Now the winner of that, in my personal opinion, because Islam did done it all, that's the person that gets the title. I think that's it right there.
I like it. I like what we cooked up there.
Mm-hmm.
UFC match.
Somebody gonna take this shit. I already know they.
Yair Rodriguez ended up defeating Patricio Pitbull via unanimous decision. Did you find that fight to be exciting? What were your thoughts on that one?
It was good, man. You already know Tom is undefeated. And not saying Pitbull didn't look great in his debut, but regardless, though, I feel like, you know, there's a lot of space that he let Yair have, a lot of great opportunities he let Yair have, which didn't give him the most success. I feel like Pitbull should rely more into his wrestling, his grappling, getting Yair to the ground, you know, and controlling from that position, trying to create damage or submissions, whatever. But shoot, when it's your debut and you're on the biggest stage in the world, shit, you trying to show out, you know. But you got a lot of, and you already know Yair, fuck them jabs across it, bro. He got them kicks, teeps coming up the middle, spinning wheel kicks, you know what I'm saying? Axe kick coming down to your head, you know? So there's a lot of stuff that Pitbull had to, you know, deal with, you know what I'm saying? Especially dealing with the stand-up. So if I was Pitbull, I would have tried to take that fight to the ground a lot more, you know, often. But, you know, I still feel like it was a good fight between both of them. But I feel like Pitbull kind of, you know, kind of played itself. You know, I feel like he could have took that fight to the ground whenever he wanted to be honest with you.
Tried, man.
I don't think about
He took a couple shots, and then one time in the clinch, Yair ended up tripping him, taking him down.
That's true, because he was just chilling off the cage.
Yeah,
but
he was trying, though.
Nah.
I get what you mean. He should have. I'm going to highlight Dan Ige again. Mm-hmm. The way Dan Ige fought his fight, that's what Chandler needed, and that's what Pitbull needed. You fighting a big guy who's a really good striker, sniper, which Paddy looked to be a sniper last night, but we go into this fight. Yair, we already know he uses kicks like fighters use their punches, and they're dynamic. They come from a bunch of different angles. His ability, he might possibly be the most well-versed kicker in the UFC.
I give you that. Yeah, 100%.
Just from the
100%.
angles and no tail swings, front side kicks, jumping switch kicks, like
crazy.
But he didn't make it a downhill fight. I said that time wasn't on his side. He came to the UFC much later. As you know, if Yair is comfortable, he is the greatest fighter probably on the roster. The only people who've been able to beat Yair Rodriguez is by making him uncomfortable, put him in a barn burner, and then maybe he wilts, maybe he doesn't, right? And I don't think Pitbull had that pressure early. He did catch him, but it was later in the rounds.
Yep.
And Yair got comfortable. He started trying to grapple. Yair is no slouch on the ground himself. Good ground and pound. Was Yair the person who landed the good elbows from top
Yes, he did. When he got rolled or whatever. Yeah, that was nice. I ain't gonna lie, that was very creative. That was the first time I seen something like that.
Which is funny because my last video I was talking about those 12-6 elbows. When a guy's trying to hang on and guard, that's the perfect time to unleash that. That's something that most people aren't using, but it's just kind of funny to see that coming to fruition because I literally just talked about it. But yeah, I don't think that was much that Pitbull could have done besides crashing out. I think that was his only chance. I think that he had to make an extremely
later. Yeah.
Time his entries. Obviously, time is on his side. They're both in good shape. Time his entries. Crash out as much as possible. Make it a fight of power. Make it a fight of whoever's will, and try to dig at the heart of Yair Rodriguez. That was his best chance. A technical kickboxing match with Yair Rodriguez. I knew he would lose that way if he played that game. Ultimately,
and that's the game that he played too long.
Too long.
Yeah.
So, were you surprised by the outcome?
I mean, like I said, if Diego, and like I said, I haven't seen Diego fight in a minute.
You talking Patricio?
My bad. Yeah,
no, you good.
Patricio, I haven't seen one of his fights in a minute, but if I'm thinking of the old, Patricio, you know what I'm saying? That's his brother. Ain't
yeah, they look just alike.
Right.
Both great fighters.
Anyways, though, if I'm thinking about his old fights and the type of pressure that he puts on a lot of guys, I believe that fighter and that style could have got to Yair. But because, yet again, he fought from space, trying to, strike with, somebody that's a better striker, like, just didn't play in his hand. But, shout out to Yair because, like I said, now you got a big opportunity, whatever. You took a major risk by, fighting somebody from a different promotion and giving them the opportunity and stuff. Now you get rewarded.
Perfect. So do you think he earned himself a title shot? He said, I had a meeting with Hunter. Hunter promised me if I took this fight, then I get a title shot next. Do you feel like he's done enough?
Now, if that's what he claimed that he said, then cool. Shit. Skip
Mozart.
Yeah.
I like that. I don't have a problem with that. I think he took on a major risk. I think people should be rewarded for taking on those unknown challenges because we don't know what. Oh,
I'm sorry. Hold on. Mozart also got a fight though. He also. Oh, it changed.
They say him and Pico are not fighting, but that's what they were trying to say.
They now or they not?
Not.
Damn. Okay.
But if I'm Mozart, I don't want to fight Aaron Pico. Not to say he can't beat him, but I've beaten everybody. Yeah. Give me somebody.
That's why I was a little confused.
Yeah, give me somebody else.
I got you though.
So, do you think? Do you still want to see Pitbull still fight in the UFC?
Yes. What? Michael Chandler.
Perfect. There you have it. Michael Chandler versus
yeah, bro. Perfect matchup, bro. Perfect matchup. Yeah.
All right. Jean Silva submitted Bryce Mitchell in the second round. What do you think of the matchup?
Man, be honest with you, both of the guys, both Bryce Mitchell and Jean Silva got me excited to watch it just because of all the animosity, the trash talk, you know what I'm saying? The Bible verses, bro, you know what I'm saying? I learned a lot about the Bible, man, when I'm with Bryce Mitchell in his interviews, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I loved it, bro. And to be honest with you, the fight did live up to, what all that stuff that they was talking. Very exciting, with Bryce Mitchell, I felt like there was some things that he could have done, but, yet again, you got to fight your fight and how you fight. And, Silva just had an answer for it, so he was able to shut that down. And the last thing I would expect for Silva to do, now, I knew that if he was to win, it would be by finish, but I thought it'd be by knockout, overhand, hook, uppercut, whatever. But my man got him out of there with a ninja choke, bro. And not only that, now I thought Bryce wouldn't tap, though, but even though he tapped, it was a little too late. My man sent him to the king still. I was like, man. But that wasn't even the worst part. My man came back over. I was like, don't do him like that, cuz. Don't do him like that, boy. So I ain't gonna lie, man. The fight nerds, man, they on the streak. They is definitely on the streak. But yet again, as a fighter and what I see that there's some things that they can get exposed, but that shit don't matter, bro. If dudes out there, they keep doing what they doing, and if they so offensively securing what they do, that can be their defense, you know, by keeping guys on the defense.
I get it, I get it because the fight nerds, they're very, very good at their style and their strategy. All of them, actually. I don't really have very much to say, but of course there are openings, but Jean Silva, he didn't even show anything yesterday.
No, he
threw a couple kicks, a couple punches. He was playing to the crowd. At no point in time do I feel like he showed his full capability in there. Anytime that Bryce Mitchell tried to do anything offensive, he defended it and looked at him like, that's the best you got. And when it was time for him to be offensive, he would land something big. But no major combinations. He didn't show a lot. If I'm a contender wanting to fight Jean Silva, I would be a little bit nervous. Because if you could do somebody who's a top 5 fighter like that and not show a tenth of your ability or skill and then beat him at what he does best, I'd be nervous. Jean Silva showed that he's for real, and he showed that there's levels to this. In no world did I see Bryce Mitchell beating Jean Silva, but in no world did I see Jean Silva submitting Bryce Mitchell. I predicted he'd get that sleep that he wanted, just came a different fashion. And when you I'm just saying, it is what it is. But with that being said, what do you want for Jean Silva moving forward? Like, who would you like him to face? We spoke about it before. I think Lopez, Rodriguez, Evoyev, any of those fights make sense. What do you see from him fighting one of those guys? Any potential matchup stand out?
For Jean Silva, that's a big one. I think because of what he did to Bryce Mitchell, he definitely looked like a world-class fighter, period, right? In the way that he went about it. But I think it's still some work for him to do. What rank is he now since he fought Bryce Mitchell?
Probably going to take Bryce's, I think
Bryce. 7. I think Bryce was 7.
He probably going to take that.
So just a little couple, somebody in the top 5, obviously, right? Who would that be? Who would that be? Let's say, and this 45, ain't it? Yep.
Yes, sir.
And we just spoke about it. So we already got Diego Lopez.
Yep. Yair Rodriguez.
Yep.
Mosar Evoyev.
I feel like that should be belt status. I ain't gonna lie to you. I feel like Mosar should go for the belt. So who under that then? Is somebody else?
I think Lopez and him would make a fantastic fight.
Oh, you still going with the Diego Lopez?
I think that's.
I like that Yair though. I ain't gonna lie. I like that Yair.
If I'm Yair might want to wait for. He might get the next title shot.
Yeah, I feel you. I got you. But who's another name? Lord Jesus, I know it's another name up there.
Aljamain's still up there. I think Aljamain is 7. I think Bryce was 5.
Oh, I forgot about Aljamain.
You got
what's going on with Aljamain? Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't know if he wants to.
I think that's a good fight.
Great fight for him, and I think that could catapult him to a top 3 contender after that. I like that too.
Yeah, okay, I like that.
Any advice for Bryce Mitchell? We talked about before that fighter to fighter segment. Anything you could tell him after a tough loss? A lot of words were said. His performance wasn't the greatest, obviously. No, not for lack of trying. I
think Bryce said it the best. I seen his comments after the fight. He didn't take it hard on himself. He literally said what he needed to do, and he said, "Just get better. I got to get better." Right. And whatever that is, and I know what he need to be working on for sure, but whatever that he sees that he needs to change within his game personally, or whatever, whoever he working with, because I think he got his own team, he got his own literal gym and everything. He trained out the barn, out the church, wherever the hell he trained. But he doing his own thing, so he got to bring in some more, people to help, change his game and how he play. Because like I said, there's some things that I really feel like Bryce could have done because Jean Silva was playing.
I agree.
And exposing himself to a lot of, but he just couldn't do it. But the thing is, you got to be real. He's never done it before.
No.
Right? So I can't expect somebody like Bryce Mitchell, with knowing the way that he fights and his skill sets, to just be able to change it right off just because we got to make an adjustment, right? If you never done it before, you probably won't do it.
True. And I think that Jean Silva surprised a lot of people by how good his grappling defense was. I think Bryce Mitchell played to his strengths. Sometimes you're not better than someone. It's hard for you to figure that out. I don't think that Bryce Mitchell honestly knew the gap between those two fighters were that big. I don't think he realized that Jean Silva was a lot better than him. I think he thought it was one clear discrepancy. Okay, he's a much better striker than me. I'm a better grappler than him if I play my game. And it turned out that was far from the truth. And it's funny because I even saw Mighty Mouse, which I think is one of the smartest MMA minds, so I'm not taking a shot at Mighty Mouse. But he called Bryce Mitchell. He might have said about Paddy. Actually, hold on, I want to strike that. But I think a lot of people perceive Bryce Mitchell as a great grappler. I considered him to be a more submission-based grappler, top-heavy control, not so much of a good wrestler. And I knew his top game is predicated on him getting takedowns. We saw him struggle against Josh Emmett getting those takedowns. We saw him struggle against Ilia Topuria. He did get one, but ultimately got knocked out. So I wasn't super surprised to see him struggle with the wrestling. I think he's coming a long way. There's just different levels to the fight game, and I think he just showed himself that before I get to a Volkanovski, before I get to a Yair Rodriguez, I got some major things I need to work on.
So that's it.
Now, we had some other fights, too. We'll get through them kind of quickly. But Dan Ige had a hell of a performance against Woodson. A little controversial in the stoppage. What did you think about that stoppage? Would you say it was early?
I think it was a premature stoppage. I felt as if Dan Ige did hit him with a big shot, right? But Sean Woodson did exactly what he needed to do. Got on his pedal, tried to work up out of it, so he did his part, right, as a fighter to defend himself. But in my personal opinion, I think Sean, he could have easily, I know a lot of people be like, what the fuck you mean easily, bro? He fought Dan Ige, man, ranked opponent and all that. He won those first 2 rounds easily, bro.
You know what's crazy?
What?
The judges had him. All 3 judges had him losing the first 2 rounds.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
He needed to finish.
No, that's crazy. Who? Dan Ige or?
No, Shoutout Woodson.
That's crazy.
And I saw to you.
That's wild.
I thought worse could be 1-1. I didn't think there was any world where Sean lost both. I thought worse could be 1-1, but I think you could easily make the case for him to be 2-0.
Yeah, now hold on. With that being said, with Sean Woodson, was he doing much? No, but he doing what he do best, and that's just that boom, boom, constant volume. And I don't care if you're not landing damaging shots. I'm touching you over and over again, and we're to the point where you can't get to me. Because even with that being said, them early 2 rounds, right? Dan Ige couldn't land no big shots.
No.
Every time he tried, right?
Few and far between.
Right, but just couldn't land, couldn't touch him. And I felt as if Sean Woodson, he could have kept that same play going, right? But, sometimes, he gets stuck in the mud or, some a lack of focus, whatever it might have been, and he end up getting caught with that one. But don't get it twisted, though. I think he was still there. He was still competent. Like I said, he was kind of defending himself. So I don't know what the ref was seeing where he was like, all right, I'm going to just stop this fight. But I feel like with Sean Woodson and just his length and, like, what he can do against these guys at, 145?
Yeah.
He should never be getting touched, bro. He should never be getting touched, man. Especially with a nigga that's 5'5". I'm sorry.
Here's my thing, right? I saw the fight kind of going the same as you. I thought Sean was up 2-0. Maybe STO bias, I don't know, but that's what I saw. I think the commentary team saw it very similar to how we saw it. But I did think that Sean left a few things to be desired, not from his technique. He's a great technical fighter. Like, I don't think anybody's as efficient with their work as Sean Woodson. As far as his accuracy, his length, his ability for him to do the things that he does. But I don't think he ever gave Dan Ige anything to be ultimately super worried about.
Right.
And once it was the 3rd round, that downhill fight that I said he needed to have, he committed to it. He said, I got 5 minutes to get it. I'm going to get it done. And that's what he did. I did think the stoppage was premature, but I think that a great offense sometimes can be a fantastic defense. And I think that if Sean maybe was a little bit more aggressive, keeping that distance, playing that matador game, not allowing himself to just shift and move, but also every single time that Dan wants to come forward, you just make him shots. Make him second guess that, make him think about that again. With Sean being as technical as he is, sometimes we look for the perfect shot, and we've seen him deliver that time and time again. I think sometimes against the next level, because he's entering that top 15, you got to bring something a little bit more gritty, and that's just more of fight tactics in game. Is obviously a shift moving from the guys he's been fighting. He's had a great career thus far, and I think this is a great moment for him to learn, and I think he'll only be better in the future
100%.
For it. So shout out to Sean Woodson, man. St. Louis, we're always rooting for everybody. We had Vina Jandiroba, she defeated Xiaonan by decision. We can just go over this one quickly. I was pretty surprised because Yan's performance against Zhang Weili and how well she did. Jandiroba was able to take her down and control her for most of the fight. Did that surprise you at all?
The way that homegirl fought and the way that she beat Yan, it did surprise me, man. Yan ain't no joke, and she good on the feet. She decent with the grappling. But yeah, homegirl, that was just her night that night. You know, shit, bro. She was looking at her and, you know what I'm saying, the GOAT at the same time saying, I want to be in that position.
The fact that her and Rosas Jr. are not related at all is crazy to me. And I don't mean any disrespect. But they look kind of related. If they're brother and sister, I would believe it. Both great fighters and both great grapplers. That's not even a diss. Do you think that she deserves a title shot? Jandiroba on a 6-fight win streak.
Yeah, we ain't doing that again.
Yeah, she's on a 6-fight winning streak. Do you think that she deserves a title shot moving forward?
I think why not?
Especially
bro?
after
bro, why not, bro?
How good?
Jan was
she liked that.
One, right? Or two.
Some up there. She only she's coming off a win and then going as well she get against the champion.
So let me say this, right? With Zane didn't beat all these girls up, and it's always good to either get a new name or move up and do something else, right? And I think Zane has the opportunity to choose.
Yeah.
Whether she want to fight this girl, but the thing is, even though this is a new name, it's just like, what does she do for her, right?
Nothing. If you want to get that GOAT status, you know, Amanda, we talk about it later, but if you want to do that, go at that GOAT status. The more people that you beat in your division, the reason why we give John Jones and GSP and Demetrius Johnson their name is because they beat the upcoming challengers. I know John Jones isn't doing that today, another time for another place. But, yeah, so I think it'll be a good fight. I think she has done enough. Do you want to see that fight?
I would love to, but the one that I truly want to see more is her and Bullet, bro.
That's a better fight.
You know, that is.
I'm not gonna lie,
but
I feel bad when people win the 6 fights in a row and they can't get it. You know what I mean?
I got you, but okay, cause Zane not just beat, but she beat what's her name, Carla Esparza, right? How many fights ago was that? Like for title defense or whatever.
Oh, she been active.
She been active.
She been active.
So that's the only reason why I give her that, you know,
of course,
that credit where she can do that. But I hate when people just win that one time and then want to move and like I hate that.
I agree,
right?
but we be hating when people hold the division.
Zane, I got you, but I think Zane had done enough. She done fought all the upcoming, you know, competitions. Homegirl, she can wait. And if I'm her, I'm waiting on my title shot, no matter what's going on.
You said thumbs up, looking pretty, yeah. Chase Hooper defeated Jim Miller by unanimous decision. What are your thoughts on that fight? Do you want to see Chase Hooper move on to fight some young contenders instead of, you know, some of the older legends?
Yeah, that's what he said, bro. He's like, man, I'm tired of beating up these old fools, man. If I was Hooper, I'd keep taking them old motherfuckers. You tripping, dog. I'd take them little old geezers, put them right into retirement. But at 155 too, right? Because he moved up. Yeah, he a lightweight fighter now. That's hard to say. My thing is, if I'm Hooper, regardless of trying to fight somebody, you know, that's around my age, whatever, I'll be looking. If I'm him, I'm looking to get into the rankings. You know what I mean? So I would have called somebody out in the rankings, kind of move up, you know, in that direction. But it looked like he just want just another young, you know, contender like himself, you know, which is whatever. That's cool, but like, that's kind of move up the ladder a little bit. You know, you just fought a great name in Jim Miller. You know what I mean? Put in some good work. What decision, right?
Unanimous decision.
Unanimous decision. So, and that's, like I said, with that being a great name like that, now it's time for, you know, a rank. So that's what I would have went for, right? Not just some random young buck. Yeah.
From a coach's perspective, Chase Hooper had a hell of a performance. I thought that Jim Miller did win the first round. I did have Jim Miller picked, but I thought it could be anybody's fight. With that being said, I thought Jim Miller's willingness to go to his back and jump guillotine, he used a ton of energy from that, and that shifted the dynamics of the fight. Chase Hooper wasn't able to put Jim Miller away. The striking looked to be somewhat fairly even. He did look good on the ground. If I'm him, I'm going to continue to move up incrementally. He's a very young guy. I would take the small steps up, and then when I know I'm nice enough to beat those guys in the top 5, top 10, I'll move up and do that. I think is levels to it. I think he should be willing to just try to move up because you couldn't even put Jim Miller away at his age of 41.
Yeah.
So if I'm him, I'm taking my time. Then another fight that I want to talk about briefly, Julian Erosa, he won via TKO over Darren Elkins. I guess my question is, from that fight, shout out to Julian Erosa, great performance. But we saw Darren Elkins look a lot different than we have in the past. Just his ability to not recover after taking shots. He looked to be kind of concussed throughout the fight. Do you feel like that it's time for him to hang it up?
I mean, shit, anytime you name yourself the damage, niggas.
Took it from me, man. I think
it's time to go, bro. But no, I mean, you know, Rosa did what he was supposed to do. So I'm not mad at that finish.
Not mad at him at all.
I think that's a good win, good way to go out. But when it comes to just these older gentlemen, so you got Derek Elkins, you got the Jim Millers. You know what I'm saying? Like once you start to, it's time to start thinking about different things, bro. Because they have done a lot for the promotion, right? They put on incredible fights. They had incredible careers. But yet again, this game is a little bit different from every other, and every time you go out there, you losing out on something, right? You're not only just losing out on, your record, right? You're not only just losing out on a paycheck, but you're losing some brain cells in the middle of that, So with that being said, it's just like you have to be intelligent enough, right, and mature enough to understand when your time has passed and go ahead and just, like I said, hang up them gloves, right? Because at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck how much money you think you making. Like, it ain't gonna be worth it if you can't spend it. And that's one thing about people tend to forget about this game. Like, this is still the hurt business. And you might not feel the effects right now, but 30 years from now, I bet you will, right?
10 years from now.
10 years from now, that's 102.
I agree. That was scary. If I'm a close person to Darren Elkins, when you see somebody not be able to recover in the fashion he did, Erosa hit him with a good shot, but it was something that Darren Elkins probably would have been able to sustain in his earlier part of his career. Unfortunately, it is the nickname damage has become ironic. I think he meant it as a way to inflict on his opponents, and now he's taken a lot of it, and it's become sort of a moniker because we know him from those heroic comebacks and him being able to sustain ass whooping and then deliver one. But that's what Darren Elkins is. He's a fighter's fighter. 100% heart. But if I'm his coach, I'm his friend, I'm somebody in his corner, I'm telling him, man, I think that time has passed. And when you can't recover and you come in great shape, he wasn't able to recover at all. And it's not like he came out of shape.
Right,
it's not he's not prepared.
Right.
It's not like he wasn't able to create separation. He was able to do all those things, and he still was. It seemed like he was, on wobbly feet and on shaky legs.
Anytime a motherfucker got a football tackle, a nigga offer you.
Yeah. And you still trying.
Beltran's like, nigga, boo, bro. To save that man life. Yeah, no, that was a bad one, bro.
Oh yeah, that call. We'll do it now. I forgot because that call. Dominic Reyes. We didn't talk about that one.
Yeah, man, blessings.
Dominic Reyes won via KO over Nikita Krylov. Reyes has won 3 of his last fights, all by KO. What do you think about that? What do you think about that fight? Do you think that was a statement fight? And do you want to see him one more fight, then move on to a title?
Yeah, why not, bro? Dominic Reyes, man, got a true incredible story for any other fighter to be inspired by, truthfully, right? It was one thing for Alex to do what he did, right? But I'm talking about Dominic Reyes, that story right there. You talking about from, not almost, beating John Jones, right? But then, fuck around, taking the L from the judges, right, on the scorecards.
Yeah.
And then right after that, you thinking like, all right, now this belt mine because Buddy gone. You get scraped.
Psych. Yeah.
4 times knocked out, consecutive 3 times in a row, but still having the mental faith that, bro, I can still do this. I can still do this. I can still run through this. Go and get yourself 3 wins, and not just 3 wins, but 3 devastating knockouts. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, bro, Dominic Reyes, I truly believe is back. But what he say? But better.
Yeah.
And, so shout out to him. So whatever the UFC see, bro, like, shit, they gonna match him up good. But yeah, I love to see him keep climbing, bro. And I be honest with you, I want to see him with the strap.
Yeah.
I want to see him
I
with the
agree.
strap.
It's good for MMA. 205 kind of shaky anyway. I think it'd be a hell of a comeback story. Comeback fight of the year should be Dominic Reyes. Just what he's been able to do over the last 16 months or whatever is incredible. Shout out to him. I think he had a wonderful performance. Had Krylov hurt a couple times and then was able to put him away. This fight card was phenomenal. Yeah, I thought UFC 314 lived up to all the expectations, even exceeded them. Many questions that I still have, but that's a good thing to have in MMA. When we have a bunch of solutions to problems, it makes the game boring. now we have a lot of questions like, is it time for Chandler to hang it up? Is there more left in the tank? He obviously needs to win. We have a bunch of contenders potentially for Volkanovski. Paddy's Pimblett is ascending as a potential contender. So I thought it was great for the sport of mixed martial arts last night, and the biggest promotion being the UFC. Performance bonuses went to Volkanovski and Lopes for Fight of the Night. Jean Silva and Paddy Pimblett also win performance bonuses as well. We'll close it out with Amanda Nunes making the Hall of Fame. She's been inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. Do you have any favorite moments from her career? Any fight that sticks out? I have one. You probably know the one.
Yeah, we probably got the same one, to be honest with you. But what we saying? Get up, Craig.
Get up, Craig. Jesus Christ. You never seen the movie Friday? There's a moment where Craig gets rocked by Debo, and his dad is telling him to get up. And boy, did I feel that for Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, I'm talking about whooped her so bad, bro. I mean, took her back to school, you know what I'm saying? School days, bro. I'm talking about she was a straight 5-year-old kid, bro, right? I'm talking about like, on the schoolyard, just lost. You know what I'm saying? Like, where my mama? And I feel like with Amanda, with all the things that she's been able to do within her career, is incredible. And sometimes you can like just forget until, you know, everybody kind of puts it in a time capsule, right? And they show that video with all the wins and, you know, the people that she beat and how she beat them, bro. Like, you know, yeah, man, Amanda truly is the GOAT, you know what I mean, when it comes to MMA. And what she did, bro, it's gonna be hard to kind of top that, you know what I mean? It's damn near impossible, right? Because not just about what she did, but who she did it to, right? So from Ronda Rousey, from, you know, Holly Holmes, to Valentina, yes, sir. And then obviously big name Cyborg, right? Went out there and spun that girl around in the first round. Like, didn't nobody expect it, you know? Everybody thought that Cyborg would be her biggest challenge, her biggest test, and she went out there, bro, and just blazed, you know? So, yeah, man, double champ, now in the Hall of Fame. My biggest thing is she coming back, though.
That remains to be seen. I'm hoping she does. Like I said, it's good for mixed martial arts. We saw GSP come back. John Jones obviously took hiatuses for multiple reasons. I think female MMA needs a star like her. I think Weili, Valentina, and her, that's a great big three right there. And it would be amazing if she would come back for one more. But we just be speculating. I want to give her flowers for her career. Most people's female GOAT of all time. I think that's a good pick. Consensus GOAT. That fight against Ronda Rousey, like you said, people thought Ronda was going to snap right back. Holly Holm might have been a flash in the pan. It might have been a fluke. And she showed everybody, nah, like, I'm like that. That was her really coming out party, if you ask me, and let people know that Amanda Nunes is super serious. I remember people thinking that Amanda was going to have a tough time with Ronda Rousey, and she made easy work of that one. Just impressive career, double champ status to be able to get her belt back from Juliana Pena. Legend, you deserve the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Shout out to not about to say Holly Holm. Shout out to Amanda Nunes.
There you go. Congratulations. Thank you for watching another episode of Brick Brothers Podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, become a brick.